Hi guys, it's Taz. For those of you that don't know me, I am a recent counselor alumni. I graduated in 2019 and was a camp counselor for Cornell's Kesem chapter for all 4 years that I was in school. If this is your first year, I wanted to just say welcome to Camp Kesem. We're really excited to have you. And for everybody else, I miss you all dearly and wish I could see you in person, but it's comforting to know that you are all staying safe, and I hope you are all having fun as well. So today, my video is going to teach you how to make friendship bracelets. And so we're gonna go through the most basic knot, and then I'll show you how to up your designs from there. So let's get started. All right, so our first step is going to be picking out your colors for your friendship bracelet. For this one, I like to use 3 colors, so I've chosen 2 shades of purple and a white, but this particular design doesn't depend on the number of colors that you choose. So if you're feeling like being adventurous and choosing some more colors, go for it. The next thing we're gonna have to do then is measure out our string. So what I usually like to do, and I'll back up so you can see this better, is measure it against my wingspan. And so I would recommend doing anywhere from 1 to 1.5 times your wingspan. I personally like to do 1.5 just because I think it's a lot easier to work with more string than having to figure out how to tie in extra string if you come up short in the end. So that's definitely my recommendation. Go for something a little bit longer if you're in doubt. So I've just measured this out to 1.5 times my wingspan, give it a little snip, and then what I'm going to do next is measure out my other 2 colors to be the exact same length. All right, so now that you've got your string all measured out for all 3 colors, then what you're gonna do is fold it in half. And when you folded it in half, you're going to take the side that doesn't have the open ends. It should make a little bit of a loop. And pretty close to the top, you're going to knot it. And you'll knot through your loop. And I like to try to keep it as close to the top as I can. You'll want a little bit of room in case you want to use that loop for tying it. I personally like to use the loop for tying it, but there's no exact science to friendship bracelets, so everyone does it differently. But this is also going to be how you attach your friendship bracelet to the table or whatever working surface that you're on. I've also seen people put this loop on their big toe, and that's another way that you can secure it while you're making the knots. So I'm going to pull this tight. We're going to have our little bit of loop at the top, and then the rest of your string with the open ends should come out the bottom. Okay, so our next step is going to be taping to the table. We do this so we can secure our friendship bracelet and it won't move when we're trying to make knots. And then what you're going to do is separate out the first color that you want to work on. So I think I'm gonna work with this light purple first. So I'm gonna pull out one of the light purple strings and I'm going to put the rest of them together in the middle. If you want, you can secure the middle with another piece of duct tape if that's been getting in your way, but I tend to like mine to be a little bit more on the free end. Okay, pause. When Taz meant free end, she meant hold it in your hand, pull it really tight so there's a lot of tension on it. You want to do this to prevent bumps and lumps from showing up in your friendship bracelet. Okay, so now I'm going to teach you the most basic friendship bracelet knot. I like to call it the figure 4. So what you're going to do is take your color that you chose before, the one you separated out. For me, that's the light purple. And what you're going to do is have it make a 4 with your center string. And once you've made the 4 with your center string, you're gonna pick up the middle and you're gonna pull your free string underneath, and it should make almost like this little loop around the center. that you can then pull all the way to the top. Now, when you're just starting out, I would do this pretty slowly to prevent kind of any catching of this middle string when you pull into the knot. Sometimes it gets caught up and then it gets lumpy. So to keep it flush, I like to go slow. And then when you become a more experienced friendship bracelet maker, you'll start picking up some speed and figure out how to go faster. So we're gonna just keep doing this again. Make that figure 4 around your center string. I'm gonna pick up the middle and I'm gonna pull it through. And then I'm gonna slowly pull this all the way up to the top. And that's it. It's really that easy. You just keep making your figure 4s, pick up the center, and pulling through. And now the great thing about this first type of friendship bracelet is that you can do this with this color for as long as you want. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. I've been doing the figure 4 knot with my light purple string now for a couple of minutes, and as you see, it starts to build out. And this is probably about an inch long at this point. The beauty of this one is you can do this for as long as you want with this color. It can be half an inch, it can be an inch, it can be 3 inches. It's really whatever you want to make of it. But I really just wanted to try and show you up close what this ends up looking like. It might be a little bit hard to see in the camera, but it starts to do this spiraling pattern. And the key to getting a good spiral and doing a good job with this knot is just making sure every time you pull it up, it's a tight knot, but it's sitting flush against all these other knots. So you shouldn't be able to see your other colors through this section. Now, I've decided this is probably about as long as I want to make this color. And now I'm going to switch to one of my other strings. So how I'm going to do that is put my free string back into the center. And then I'm going to pick out the next string I want to work with, which I think I'm going to end up working with the purple, the dark purple one. So I'm going to separate out the dark purple from my middle string. Whoops. Pull it out to the left, or if you're left-handed, pull it out to the right. Either way, it doesn't matter. And then you're ready to figure 4 again. Fun fact, if you're left-handed or you just prefer working with the other hand, you can do a reverse 4, so making it look backwards, and it is essentially the same knot. It'll give you the same design in the end. So same as we did with our last color, we're gonna make the figure 4, pick up the middle, pull the string through. Oops, there we go. And pull it tight. And just like the last one, we're gonna keep doing this until we get something that looks like what our first color had. So for me, I've been making mine about an inch long, but also they don't have to be the same. You could pick one color and make it shorter than the other color section that you just had. But that's all there is to this one. You just keep going, switching off your colors. My one piece of advice though is when you finally get back around to the first color you were working on, so for me, that's the light purple. So once I've done, light purple, dark purple, the white, and I get back to the light purple, because we're only working with one string, you'll notice that one of the strings is shorter than the other ones. So let me see if I can kind of try to show you that. So I'm gonna pull out my light purple just to show you what that looks like. All right, so I have my two light purple strings here. And if I were to show you, you notice that one light purple string is now a lot shorter than the other light purple string. And so what you're gonna do in that case is just when you get back around to that color, use the longer one first. And that'll make sure that you don't run out of string and you don't have a loose end in your center. Here's a little better picture showing you what the difference in string length looks like once you've used a color once. Now I just want to quickly touch on what your string should look like when you're switching to a new color. So if you look at this picture, the new color string, in this case the white string, is fully untangled from the other strings. This is really important so you can avoid messy knots and lots of bumps in between your transitions. So now I'm going to show you an example of what this does not look like. So you can see here in this picture that the white string is tangled with all the other strings, and this is going to give you headaches down the road. So make sure you untangle your string in between every color. Okay, so I've been working at this one for a little while and I just wanted to show you what your finished product could look like. I just alternated the colors in the same pattern, did them for about an inch, all using the figure 4 knot, and here we are. This is a good length for me, and let me just show you how to quickly check the length of your bracelet without having to peel up your tape. Okay, to quickly check whether your friendship bracelet is good to go, what you're gonna do is lay it flat on your surface. I'm gonna just turn mine around so that you have a better view of it. What you're gonna do is put your wrist in the middle of your bracelet, pick up your open end, and just wrap it around. So hopefully you can see here that the design goes all the way around my wrist, so I am good to go. Okay, now that you finished your design, you can pull it off of the table, you can get rid of your tape, and now you should have your bracelet with your loose end here and your loop end here. So we're gonna take the loose end first. We wanna make sure that we tie off the bottom so none of your design comes unraveled in the future. I just do a basic loop knot, just pulling the string through and creating a knot at the base. It's helpful to push the knot all the way up to the bottom of the design, so again, that way it doesn't unravel your design. The next thing to do is attach it to your wrist. Super helpful to have an extra person helping you tie this on, but it's definitely possible to put it on yourself. I personally like to keep the loop, and I use the loop to my advantage, so I put my free end through the loop end, and this already creates that bracelet shape. I slide my wrist through, pull it tight. Definitely if you use this method, it'll probably overlap with your design a little bit, but I don't think that's a huge deal. And then what I do is I slide my free end under the bracelet. Sorry, this is a little bit difficult to try to show on video, but I'm gonna do my best. And when I pull that end through, oh no, this is not going well by myself. So I put it underneath the bracelet, pull it through this center loop, and it should create another knot. I'm not gonna pull this one tight because I wanna pull it off and show you another way that you can tie it, but I definitely recommend doing 2 or 3 knots. This will make sure it doesn't come off if you are doing any kind of swimming, if you are wearing it in the shower, if you're in the middle of a lake, that way you don't lose it. So another way that you can tie off your bracelet is just your traditional way that you tie your shoes. So in this case, you typically cut off this top loop. That'll just make it a free end, but that's not a requirement. And all you're gonna do is cross them, pull your free string under, and pull. You'll do that around your wrist. Again, I would double or triple knot it just to make sure that it doesn't come off. And then you're done. You have your first friendship bracelet officially made. Oh, also, don't forget to cut off any excess string. So you'll probably have a decent sized tail on the end of it. Just snip that right off and you can save that. That's still pretty good string if it's long, and you could make keychains out of it, which are really fun to just attach to your backpack zippers and give your backpack a little bit of flair. Okay, so now for a little bit more of an advanced design, we're gonna be doing one that makes a flat diagonal. And this one, again, you can use as many colors as you want. It'll just change whether or not you have a really thick one or you have a really thin one. So I decided to use 3 colors again just for the simplicity of showing you, but choose whatever you want. I went with a pink, a green, and a blue, and I have already cut my string and prepped it on the table. It's the same setup as our last design was. So the 3 colors, 1 to 1.5 times your wingspan, fold it in half, knot it at the top, and then tape down to a flat surface. So let's get started. So first, I want to give you an aerial view of what's going on. In this case, we are going to actually spread out our strings. And the way we're going to do this is spread them out almost like in this triangle-like fashion. You can really put the colors in any order, but if you want the diagonals to follow the same color pattern, what you're gonna need to do is line up your first color, second color, third color, and then repeat it in the very same order on the other side. First color, second color, third color. Once we have it set up like this, I'm gonna show you how to use that figure 4 knot that we used in the first bracelet, but then to create a diagonal. Okay, so getting started on this bracelet, we're always going to be working from left to right, or, you know, if you're a lefty and you prefer working from right to left, that's okay too. You just have to remain consistent. So I like working from left to right, like you read a book, and we're just gonna be using figure 4 knots. So I typically like to push the strings that are not my free string at the moment, which in this case, like our last one, our free string is the one furthest to the left, so I'm starting with the pink. So I usually push these ones over a little bit just to remind me which one is my free string. So we're gonna be using that figure 4 knot again, but we're going 1 string at a time. So the first string that we're going to work with as our base string is this blue, and then we're gonna take our free pink string and make that figure 4 over this blue string. So figure 4 knot over the blue string and pull it up. And then I'm gonna push these out of the way so you're not distracted by them. And we're gonna do that a second time. So we're gonna make that figure 4 over the blue knot, or over the blue string, and pull it tight. Now, if you want a thicker diagonal, you can do more than 2 knots on each string. I personally like 2 knots on each string, but that's up to you. So now that we've done 2, we're gonna take our blue bass string and we're gonna move it aside to the left. We're done with that one. Now our next string, as you recall, is the green string. So our pink string still is our free string. Now the green string becomes the base of the 4. So we're gonna do our figure 4 knot over the green string. So figure 4 knot. And this one, definitely your strings can get really messy. So it's important to try to remember what order they come in and keep them organized. Something that I sometimes like to do, if you have access to cardboard, you can cut sections in the bottom of your cardboard that you can stick the strings in, and it keeps them organized. I'll try to upload a picture of this in the video to show you what that would look like. And that can really help, and it keeps tension in the bass string too. So that way they don't get all confused and you come out with really nice knots. All right, so this is what I wanted to show you with using cardboard to make it easier to keep track of your strings. So what I've done is cut a little notch in the front of this cardboard. You can stick your loop that we make at the beginning. That can go in there. And then I have just cut little notches in the bottom of this cardboard and put each of our strings in there. And what this does is holds them really nice and tight, but it also keeps them well organized. So that way you can make sure you're going in the same pattern every time. I just did 2 on that green string, and so now we're done with that green string as a base. I'm gonna move it aside. Our next color is the pink string. You're probably thinking, oh, this is a little bit weird because I thought the pink string was our bass string. This is probably one of the trickiest ones. You have to remember which one is your bass string and which one is your free string. But same as the rest of them, we're gonna make that figure 4 knot over this bass pink string, and we're gonna pull it tight. And we're gonna do the same thing again. Second figure 4 string. And pull it tight. Now when you're doing this in real life and you get faster at it, you can be, holding this string really tight and doing a more condensed figure 4. But when you're just learning, I find it's really helpful to leave the strings on the table. It keeps them organized. So now we have finished the pink string. We're gonna pull this pink string off to the side and go into our second blue string, which is the bass string again. Figure 4, we're gonna make 2 knots. We'll do this one more time. And then this blue string is done. Move it to the side. Okay, now we have our final bass string, which is this final green string. Figure 4 and pull it through. Do this one more time. Figure 4, pull it through. Okay, so now we've come all the way across our strings. Now, this pink string that was our free string is going to be our string farthest to the right. And the rest of these strings are gonna fall back into line in the same order that they were in. Now, I pushed the strings out of the way for the sake of the video, just so you could see what was happening. But in reality, if you keep them in this teepee shape, it'll remind you which one comes next. So, just to recap, if you remember, this string was our free string. It started out over here. We did 2 figure 4 knots here, 2 figure 4 knots here, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here. And now this string is going to be all the way on the right. So we're gonna do this whole process again, but now the blue one is our free string. So starting with the blue, figure 4 knotting over our bass green string. Gonna pull this tight, and again, sometimes this one gets really messy in terms of keeping track of your strings. They like to get tangled with each other, so it's really important to keep track of that. So I've done 2 figure 4 knots here. Now the green string is done. The pink string becomes our base. Again, we're gonna make that 4. So we have the 4 here, and we pull it tight, making sure none of these other strings get in the way. So we'll just keep going through. So we just did pink, which means our next bass string is the blue one. Now figure 4 knot, 1 here, figure 4 knot, 1 here. This blue string is done. The second green string is now our bass string. So we're gonna do a figure 4 knot. Like I said, when you get faster, you don't really have to emphasize it looking like a 4. And if you need a reminder of what this 4 knot looks like, definitely go back to that first video. And that one's definitely the easiest one to learn on. All right, so now we have done 2 on every single color here. And this blue one that was our free string is now the farthest to the right. If we realign our strings here, you can see now the green one becomes our free string, and we're gonna do 2 on the pink string, 2 on the blue string, 2 on the green string, 2 on the second pink string, 2 on the blue string, and this green one will end up over here. All you have to do is keep repeating that pattern until it is long enough to fit your wrist. So if you keep on going and do that green string, this is what your bracelet is going to start looking like. I want to emphasize that it takes a couple of rounds before you can really start to see the diagonal. So here is a picture of it after we've gone through every color twice, and then here's another picture of it when we've gone through every color 3 times. All you're going to do is just keep on following that pattern, and you're going to wind up with a really cool looking bracelet at the end. And then same thing that we did for that first bracelet design. When you're done, you're going to knot it off at the base of the design so it doesn't come unraveled, and then you're going to tie it to your wrist and cut off any excess string. Then you're done. Alrighty, and with that, you are set to become a friendship bracelet making pro. Now, there are so many other designs out there. Those were just 2 of the most simple ones that I know and are really easy to build off of in future designs. I'm sure lots of your other camper friends also have designs that they've come up with or that they've learned throughout the years and would be happy to teach you. I know there's a wealth of them that exist online if that's something that you and your family want to partake in. But thank you so much to tuning in. I'm gonna, leave you with a couple of my pro tips. Just a reminder, make sure that you keep a lot of tension on that bass string. That's going to ensure that you don't have a lot of bumps and caught up strings in your knot. It'll keep it flush and it'll keep it beautiful. And then one of my other big recommendations is just have fun with it. Don't worry if you mess up. Don't worry if some knots are out of place. Friendship bracelets are awesome in that every single one of them is unique, and they're really more just about the process of doing them, who they're for, who you're sharing that time with. So don't even worry about any small mistakes. So with that, I'm going to leave you to your friendship bracelet making. Again, I miss you all, and I cannot wait to see you in future years. Have a great rest of your summer and a great rest of your camp experience. See ya.